Alrighty, my name's Clay Canfield. I'm the founder of Sobriety Hub software, and I'm here today with my good friend Dawn Smith. Dawn is the executive director of the Hilljack House, which is located just a few minutes away from us in St. Louis, Missouri. Dawn, how's it going today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Clay?
I'm doing well too. I'm so happy to have you on and to get the chance to interview you. It's an honor. We've developed such a nice friendship.
We have, and thank you for having me. Sorry,
Gotta take a sip of water there.
I do. My throat has stage fright.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to work in the field?
I can. So I think to begin with, I'd like to say that I am a person in long-term recovery. I will have 13 years in the end of June. Um, However, in 2007, prior to getting clean and sober, I lost my son to a heroin overdose. And at that time, what had been my solution for so many years, right? Stop working. However, it did take me a few more years to finally get clean and sober and to find the rooms of recovery, 12-step recovery.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a common story. Unfortunately, both being sober and becoming a sober living operator and the family nature of the disease. So I know you mentioned, you have your own recovery program. How do you manage your own recovery alongside kind of having to take care of or manage, what is it, like almost 60 addicts in early recovery? How do you juggle both of those?
Well, think the most important thing for me is that I keep my personal recovery separate from the work that I do, because
Mhm.
I've seen it happen so many times that people, when we get into the field and we start working with other addicts and alcoholics, that we just tend to like put ours to the back burner, or we substitute our personal recovery for what we do for other people. And it happens, usually it doesn't turn out too well from my experience. So I always try to keep my personal recovery totally separate. So what that means is my meetings, that's turn, excuse me, my meetings, the people that I sponsor, um, events that I do, service work that I participate in, is totally separate than my work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a nice way to draw the line. It's kind of weird, right? Because like if you're working in the field, you are helping people, but just by nature of getting paid for it, of it being your occupation, it's not the same, kind of pure service work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's an interesting thing. I could definitely see it becoming a situation where we convince ourselves that our work is, fulfilling that service commitment, but it's just not the case. It's not the same as doing it for fun and for free and without recognition, right? Um, so I've been to the Hilljack House. It's really nice. Um, you guys are a nonprofit operation with really good support in the community. Um, what kind of things do you do to make the houses feel like a home and make them feel like a safe place?
So thanks for asking that, Clay, because I think that's one of the things that I take the most pride in. We do have 5 homes. So we have 3 for females and 2 for men, and all of our houses are homes, right? So they have common areas, they have living rooms, dining rooms, full kitchens, and they're all furnished like a home. So each bedroom, and we do let them personalize their rooms when they're there, so they can put their pictures, and they can live there up to 2 years. So it does really actually become a home for them. Um, when they move in, we do a lot of we do a lot of community events, both ones that help the community in general, but also those that help our residents. That, by immersing them into the community and immersing them together into having them do things like, we'll do a lot of community events. We go to Cardinal games, we go to Six Flags, we do float trips. Sometimes it's volunteer for them, and sometimes it's mandatory fun. But whatever way it is, it brings them closer together as a unit. And I always express to residents when they move in that, the biggest and the best tool that they have are one another. And if they, if they are vulnerable and they open up to, the idea of being there and helping one another, they can sometimes form some relationships that'll last forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember coming to the barbecue. I know you guys do a ton of big kind of events, and so many people show up. And St. Louis has kind of this culture of people hang around and people get to know each other. So I mean, I thought that was super cool. I don't know how, I think that's pretty rare given what I've seen, talking to a number of sober living operators, is like, I mean, you guys put on a barbecue. How many people were there? It was got to be like a couple hundred people.
Yes, it's scaled over the last few years. So last year, I think our total number, where I believe that's the event you were at, had like 217. And a lot of that's because we definitely keep our alumni engaged. So when the alumni move out, I don't know if you noticed at that event, there was a lot of kids, and we actually had the cotton candy machine maker, which went over pretty big. I think the adults actually liked it more than the kids, but it was good, right? And so yeah, so we just kind of like, we just try to keep everyone engaged. And honestly, one of the services that I don't know if it's a service per se, but one of the things that we really focus on here is family reunification when possible, right? Because what we want to do is we build our foundation in Hilljack is 12-step based, right? 12-step recovery. However, if you admit you're an addict or an alcoholic and you go to a meeting and you just sit in the back of the room, right, for 5 years, you're going to be what we refer to as a dry drug. So you have to put in the work. And so here at Hilljack House, that's one of the things we do. We try to reunite the families, and if we are able to offer them some kind of therapy, and I do a lot of supervision with families so that they can see their children, and try to work with the courts to get the kids back, or at least get visitation with them. So the relationships that we build with our residents continue on. Like, it's not like you live at Hilljack and then you move out and then we don't know what happens. Like, we want them. Actually, that's when when they need us the most. And so we do everything in our power to keep them engaged. And I think that's why it's so big like that. And it becomes a big family.
Yeah, I mean, it's like insane. Like you guys were celebrating alumni who had multiple years of sobriety, and you've got like, your supporters who help with resources for the operation. You've got alumni who are multiple years down the line now have nice families and kids, or have reunited with those families and kids. And then you've got like your current residents who are, smoking cigarettes and drinking Monster, but they see like, oh, this guy was, literally living in my room 5 years before me. And so that is pretty cool. And I know originally, because you were one of our first customers on Sobriety Hub, and we had named the discharged section alumni. And you told me, you were like, Clay, like an alumni is somebody who graduates from the program. And you made that distinction very clear. And I think it's because you guys make a really strong point to make the successful graduation of the Hilljack House a big deal. And if you graduate, you're still totally part of the community, right? Um,
Absolutely. And it just, I'd like to make one thing, because if the board looks at this, they'll say, wait a minute, we don't, residents don't graduate from Hilljack, they transition.
okay,
So,
okay.
we don't, we're not like a treatment center by any means. So I just want to make that clear. Residents, they transition into the community, and we help them from point A, like from building that foundation to transitioning. Um, and we still like the alumni that come back and support. Our doors always open, even for those who don't make it, that go out in a negative manner.
Mm,
We always wanted them to come back. So, I received so many calls from people that have been residents for a period of time, and then they relapse, and they move, and they go out, or they move out, they transition out, and 3 or 6 months later they stop doing what they need to do right for the recovery, and then they call me. So I always keep that line of communication open. I think it's really, really important that we let them know that, no, we're always here for them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really like, I have a list of questions that I usually ask people, but it's hitting me now, and it's something I've, you know, realized before just being in St. Louis. But like, I mean, the Hilljack house is just, it's just really epic. Like everybody knows it. Nobody has a bad thing to say about it. And it's beautiful. What do you guys have in stock for the next 5 years? Any big plans that you and the board have been talking about?
Oh, yeah. So, there's been a lot of talk. And so we currently have 38 residents, right? And we've opened up 2 houses within the last 5 years. And actually, our last home was opened on April 3rd, 2020, the day the stay-at-home order went into effect. That was our grand opening for house number 5. And we had 8 females getting ready to move in. At that time, we had to make a tough decision, and we had to actually scale it down to 4, just for safety reasons and precautions for the residents. We always want to keep the, kind of like a current resident first. They're safe and supportive living is our mission, right? First and foremost. Um, However, so now we have 5 houses, and when I started at Hilljack, we had 2, or we had 3. Um, and we've kind of grown and built a really good, added a lot of resources. The board's been so awesome, and some of our founders, we opened in 1997, so some of the founders are very active still today. Um, so there's been talk of scaling, because unfortunately, there's always going to be the need for sober living, right? And if we had 15 houses, we could fill 15 houses. However, um, the thing that we definitely have been throwing around and discussing a lot over the last year is, how do we want to scale where we can still offer the same amount of support for each resident? Because I think that's the thing that we take pride in. Like, I meet with the residents regularly. I know all of their families, about them. However, as we grow, that becomes more and more challenging, and there's only one of me.
Right.
So we're currently in the process of, over the next couple of years, before we grow any bigger, before we purchase another home, we're honestly looking at right now, like hiring people, and finding the people that are passionate, and that will be able to do that same thing. Because we don't want to compromise what we do. Like, we always want to keep the resident first, right? And their success. So before we grow, we want to make sure we have the staff to support the residents.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It seems like a patient and disciplined approach. I can imagine that, I don't know, for me at least, if I was in your shoes, I might just push to get more houses now and figure out the rest later. But I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of get the staffing in place, because you know I know you're already spread pretty thin and have a lot of responsibilities, and you can't make a copy of Dawn. So um
No,
yeah.
yeah. So that's where we're at. We definitely always want to, it's like we do have a good success rate. We have for the population we serve and what we do, we honestly we have a really um a good success rate and those that do well. And we definitely want to keep that in mind as we grow. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what happens. I hope that it does grow. Just because I know that you guys will make sure that the resources and support grows with the size. And I don't know. I just think, Hilljack could help a lot more people. So
Yeah.
hopefully it
Do you
happens.
like a job?
I Dawn,
Another job?
I'm in the same position as you with
I
too
know.
many hats already. I mean, I do have my
Mm.
Hilljack House hat on right
I
now.
see, I see. I thank you because I was gonna wear it, but it didn't match my shirt. So I appreciate you wearing it.
Yeah, I love rocking my Hilljack House hat. Uh,
Thank you.
so okay, so there's other sober livings in St. Louis, right? But there's really not that many. What do you
No.
think? Yeah, what do you think about kind of like the general composition of the various sober livings in St. Louis? Are there enough? Do we need more? Do we need more women's houses? Um, yeah, what do you think?
Well, that's a lot of questions, Clay,
Okay.
and one thing. So, but I will try my best. I may go on a tangent here, so
Okay.
if I do, cut me off. Um, to begin with, to answer your question, like I said a minute ago, unfortunately, the need for sober living houses anywhere within the country or probably the nation is going to continue to be there, right? So I feel um, there's always going to be that need. As far as women's versus men's here in the St. Louis area, there are definitely more for men than females. There's recently been some that have closed their doors. So that means that, we're not even where we were at 5 years ago or 3 years ago with options.
Right.
I will say this that I have built some really good relationships with other providers in our community because I feel that and well not I feel I am totally um blessed and I hate when someone calls me and they don't fit our criteria or we don't have availability and I don't know what to say. I don't have any hope for them because like a person that's reaching out for sober living, with a week, 30 days getting out of treatment, they're filled with fear, right? And they really need someone to be empathetic and compassionate and to give them hope. So it used to be in the beginning very challenging for me when because if I just couldn't help them and put them in my little hands and then help them fly. Today, so over the years, I've built relationships and gotten to know the other options, right, in our community. And honestly, every place is not for everyone. So I am so grateful for like ones that have different requirements or ones that offer different services or ones that are more focused on this or that. So I think that really it takes a village to raise a child. And I am really, really grateful for all of the organizations that we have in our community, because honestly, we're all trying to do the same thing, and that's help the individual who's seeking help, right, and seeking housing. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, no, it definitely does. For sure. I know that so we were developing Sobriety Hub in the fall, and we were in kind of a testing stage. And
mhm.
I came and met with you, and you were um really one of the first, if not the first person to really give me the time of day to, give me a chance to show you what we were working on and give a probably overly long and tedious explanation. But you dealt with me, and I appreciate that a lot. And you ended up really giving us a shot, um, which, I'm super grateful for. I'm curious, like, how, so, I mean, you've really guided the features that we've added and stuff to Sobriety Hub and given us a lot of great feedback. But I guess just overall, um, how have you, utilized the software, um, and where do you see it kind of helping you in the future?
That's a great question, Clay. And honestly, it's kind of funny when I see you now, I'm just always, my heart is full because, like, I remember meeting you and I remember you calling me, and I was like, the selfish and self-centered person that I am, excuse me, was like, oh, I want to help this guy. He's in school, and I was a late graduator. I went back to school in 2013, and then I ended up with a master. So I always want to help people in that area. But it was so funny because I'll never forget the day I met with you. You opened your computer, right? And we had been like, I had been killing a whole lot of trees over the years prior to meeting you, because everything we did was on paper. And you open it up and you had five little houses on your computer screen. And I thought to myself, did he do that intentionally? But that's how many houses that we had. And so I was like, oh my God, this must be a sign. And so that said, I feel like you really take a lot of time to get to work with your customers, right? And you have been so engaging and asking what's going to be valuable to us, and you always reach out and ask how we're doing and what you can do to help. And honestly, I feel as an older person that it's super easy to navigate for me, right? And we are now 100% paperless, and everything that I need, I can do on Sobriety Hub. And I couldn't give you a higher evaluation. And if I need anything, you're always present, you're always there, you always respond. And to me, that is like priceless. So I don't know. I mean, I see us continuing to use Sobriety Hub indefinitely. Um, I think one of the great features, well, it's all great, but one of the things that's kind of unique about it is that you have it to where I can, like my house presidents, the people that are in the leadership roles within the houses, I can give them access to certain things. So I can just give them access to UAs, or I can give them access to what the residents in their houses stipulations or requirements are at that time, or what kind, or things of that nature. And so that way we can communicate. And it's saved me so much time, like having to meet with people. It's just so bad. And I can keep all like everything, so I don't need anything. I can jot notes in there really fast. So I think you've done an amazing job. And I just am so excited to see where this all leads you in your future.
Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, I always have trouble responding to like positive things like that, but thank you so much. It's really nice. And I'm happy that, like I said, you really moved the needle for us at the beginning because, not many people are willing to pick up the phone and talk to a random person and, give them a shot, and you did that. So that really gave me a lot of confidence, that, we should keep developing and keep adding. So
Yeah,
thank you so
definitely.
much. Um,
Definitely.
is there anybody that you wanted to shout out or acknowledge that's helped you kind of go from 13 years ago struggling to now, the executive director of probably the coolest sober living operation in the area.
Well, thank you for that plug there. But I think that, so definitely my sponsor, right? My sponsor's been really, really, I've had the same sponsor for my whole journey. I love her to death. She's a really smart businesswoman and very educated. So she instilled the meaning of that into me and gave me the confidence to continue with what I'm doing. But also, like, as far as the houses and my employment, my journey with my um career, I would definitely not be where I'm at today without the support of all the founders of Hilljack House and the board of directors that we've had throughout the last 12 years. Um, they have been there 100% of the way, and they reel me in when need be, and then they give me some rope to they let me out a little bit when they feel that I need to be. And they have just been so supportive in every aspect of it. They're very active, and for my opinion, um, is that for a nonprofit, we're a grassroots organization. So for a smaller nonprofit grassroots organization, a strong supportive board and active board is the foundation. And they believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I remember I had, like, I don't know, I was first managing the first women's house, a six women small house, and then something happened, and the the man that was overseeing the men's houses, he went on, he retired, and they were looking for a man. I'm like, hey, what about me? And they were like, okay, what about? And I was in school at that time, and they're like, okay, what about you? And so it's kind of how it started. And if they would have never been open minded to that, then I would never be where I'm at today. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah, that's funny. I did not know that story. They were looking for a man to run the men's houses, which, kind of makes sense. And you were
Yeah,
like,
they
"Hey,"
just never thought about a woman.
yeah, yeah. And you piped up
I
and they
did,
gave you a shot.
and they did.
That's cool.
And they might be regretted sometimes, but I don't think I'll. But overall, I think that they're good with their choice.
I think so. Yeah, it seems that way to me. All right, Don. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. And I'm really excited to share this interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Clay, and whatever I can do. Just a shout out for you. We're going to have our barbecue is going to be the end of October. And so I will send you the date. I don't have it on me. I don't have it locked down totally, but
Okay.
I will definitely let you know when it is. And I hope to see you there if you're not too busy.
Cool. Yeah, I hope to see you there too.
All right. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right. Thanks, Don.
Bye.
Bye-bye.